Listen to the stories of Tinseltown. We got that song, yes we do. So come on, dames, and come on, mugs, and all you others too. Listen to the stories of Tinseltown. They're not only good, they're true. True stories of Tinseltown.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to True Stories of Tinseltown. And today I think we have a fun show for you. And our lovely guest is John DiLeo. John's been on probably about 20 times. And I enjoy every time. How you doing, John?
I enjoy it too. It's good to be back, always.
Yeah. And we're not really talking about one of your books this time, but you do have a good one coming out soon. When's your next one coming out?
It's coming out next year, sometime in 2027. I'm not sure what month yet, but you'll be among the first to know.
Hooray, hooray, because it sounds like a goodie. Anyway, today's show, we're doing how some actors make the attempt, and they do change their genre. It works. But there are some, for me, I don't know if John will feel the same way, that I think didn't work. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I may go into, you know how sometimes I go off, but I will do tidbits that I know. It's not that I'm losing track of what I'm talking about. I just want to give you guys a few little personal tidbits about their lives, because I'm a tidbit kind of gal, right?
You're allowed. You're allowed.
Yes, I can say tidbits. Anyway,
Yes.
why don't you start, John, since you are the guest?
Okay. Well, I'll start with such a clear-cut example that everyone will know exactly what we're talking about. And I'm going to bring up Dick Powell, who made the shift from, musical comedy juvenile to film noir tough guy in Murder, My Sweet in 1945. And if you were a person who grew up in the 40s and 50s, you probably had no idea that Dick Powell ever sang a note. But of course, he's the iconic boy next door of the Busby Berkeley musical, so happy and bright, and his high tenor floating across all those production numbers, the epitome of optimism during the Depression. And then he got just a little too old, of course, to be that guy anymore. Times had changed. The Busby Berkeley movies were out by the end of the 30s. And he kind of had a kind of rough early 1940s, although he's in Preston Sturges as Christmas in July in 1940. But he was really kind of going nowhere and sort of slipping. And that role as tough guy Philip Marlowe really clicked, and that really was the remainder of his career before he really turns to directing, is playing tough guy roles, and very comfortably and quite successfully. And he's just as remembered as a film noir guy as he is as a 1930s musical star.
I remember him more as a film noir, because I think I've told you before, and everybody, I'm not a musical kind of gal, so I wasn't really familiar with it. He also did a horrible movie with Debbie Reynolds. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Susan Slept Here.
Oh, it was gross. She was like 17. Ew.
It's one of those.
But you're right. I mean, he made a great switch. It wasn't like, I don't believe him. He was
in fact, it would be a cool double feature to show him in 42nd Street and Cornered, and to see the two different Dick Powells in one afternoon or something. That would be fun.
You still doing your movies? You should do that.
Yeah, I haven't done double features. Once we did a Hitchcock double feature, but generally not.
But that is a good one. And
yeah.
Cornered, is that the one with Elizabeth Scott?
No, the Elizabeth Scott is Pitfall.
I love that one.
Yeah, that's a really good one. That's a really good one. But he's more of like the ordinary guy who makes some bad choices and has to deal with it. But,
for that dame. For a dame.
For a dame, yes.
But he was really good, and I really enjoyed him in that. And that, to me, is what I remember him from those kind of movies. And he wasn't really a bad guy at all. He was just, you said.
and then like something like The Bad and the Beautiful, he's such a kind of subtle,
Oh, he was
dramatic
so
actor.
good in that. He was so
You
good in
don't
that.
suspect that this is someone who was a musical comedy guy, which is so much about performance and to a certain extent selling a song, and then he kind of goes so quiet, so subtle, and that he was able to adjust.
He was so good. I had highly advised you guys to check out The Bad and the Beautiful because it is. I love it because it's so. The Bad and the Beautiful, Kirk Douglas, Lana Turner, the whole gang. But I loved it. And Gloria Graham, fabulous in this flick as well. She was so good. Such a slut. My kind of gal. She was great. And I really like that choice, John. I think that's a goodie. I'm going to go, and I think we've spoken about it before, Cary Grant, which he could do dramas. He was really good in dramas. He did Notorious and Suspicion and things like that. He could do it all. I loved him.
Yeah.
But the thing I never bought him in was None But the Lonely Heart, 1944.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't particularly care for the movie, and I think there's something, even though the irony, of course, is it was a role closer to him than the Cary Grant we know, in the sense that it's a poor cockney guy, which is kind of how he started out.
It's ironic, right?
It's ironic that we kind of resist him in the part because nobody really wants to see him that way. Now, in something like Notorious, it's fabulous because it's intricate and it's sexy and it's you're sympathetic, even though sometimes he's a real louse. So there's so many colors in that dramatic role, and he's great. But there's something so downbeat about watching Cary Grant in that movie that it's kind of off-putting. And I think there's really nothing wrong with what he's doing. It's just not something we want to see. And it's a kind of a tedious movie. So
it is. And Ethel Barrymore is playing his mom. It just kind of, he just, like he said, I'm playing Cary Grant because he's not really Cary Grant. And we're used to him being, Mr. Cool, Mr. Suave, Mr. Urbane, Mr. Everything. And comedy, he was fabulous. Drama, he was fabulous. But this one, I'm like, eh. And he was really very sad and depressed that he thought this was going to be a great breakup for him. And people didn't buy it.
Yeah.
Which, to me, it was not a good flick. But he did, and he had that horrible upbringing. He didn't know his mother was alive for years and years, which is sad, right? They told him she went away, but she was in a mental institution in real life. And he discovered her, and he took care of her in her later life. And her, the father was an alcoholic. He left home, I think, when he was 14. So that was more his life than any of the other ones that he played, which, to me, he was not believable. But I know some people think he was, but to me, I give it a
yeah. No, I get it.
Okay,
sure.
Your turn next.
Well, sticking with the Warner Brothers musicals, another clear-cut example is Jimmy Cagney, where if you go back to becoming a star in 1931 with The Public Enemy, and then 2 years later knocking everyone's socks off by being in a Busby Berkeley musical, Footlight Parade. And I think in this case, the transition was so easy because he's still kind of playing a tough guy, the impresario of this, these, what do they call them? They do these shows, live shows before movies, and they tour them. But he's just as much of a tough guy, pushing people around. And so he could still bring the same energy, the same excitement to the role. And I think audiences loved it whenever he then would do a musical, like, of course, Yankee Doodle Dandy, because it was always such a surprise, and they felt the joy of watching this, among the toughest of the tough guys, sing and dance and do it with the same kind of confidence that they delighted being sort of in on it. Like, we know who he really is, and God, he's having a ball, and no one's going to tell him he can't sing and dance, because if he wants to, he can do anything he wants.
He was great.
So he did the occasional musical, and any time he did it, West Point Story is nothing much, but I think audiences were always tickled by it. And he was so unique in his dancing style that, again, it was sort of like what a gangster would dance like. So he was able to do it.
He was really good. And he, He was adorable. And his other movies were so good. And his 30s, some of them weren't so hot, like Other Men's Women, if you saw that, some pre-code stuff. But he was wonderful. And he could do both. A lot of people cannot do both. And he just rocked and rolled into our hearts, that pitter-pattering little tootsies. And also what I loved is he could go back and forth about it. It was not... he didn't totally change paths. He didn't stay in one or go into the other. He didn't
follow up Yankee Doodle Dandy with. You would think they would have another musical ready to go because it was such a smash hit, but he didn't do one for quite a while, and so it also stands out for that. It was such a special moment for him,
And he also. What was I thinking of? I'm just blanking here, John. I'm blanking here. He did a lot of good stuff, and I just love him. He was wonderful. And like I said, a lot of these things are not like they went into the whole genre. But one of my favorites is Doris Day. Born Again Virgin. Who made the line? I remember Doris Day before she was a virgin. I don't know. That was.
I think it's Oscar Levant. I think it's Oscar Levant, but it certainly sounds like him if it weren't. I'm pretty sure it was.
It's a great line, and it's totally what it was, because Doris was more or less. She was. She did a lot of musicals to start out, and. I think that was pretty much the majority. And then she did a couple. What did she do? Do you ever see Storm Something with Ginger Rogers and?
Oh, Storm Warning. Yeah,
that was a good flick. I love that movie.
That's the rip off of Streetcar Named Desire. Yeah.
It was great, and also with the throwing the Ku Klux Klan in there and the whole nine. It's a really good film, and Ronald Reagan's in it. Everybody, if you can find this movie, I mean, the scenes they're whipping Ginger Rogers. This is wild. I highly recommend this flick. And Doris played sort of the mousy sister who was in love with Steve Cochran, who I think was a real hunk between him and the lamppost.
He was definitely
quite a hubba guy. But she did that. And then all of a sudden, kaboom, Pillow Talk. That was the first, right?
Yeah, that's the one that ignites the whole... rom-com Doris,
with Rock. She started with Rock Hudson, and she was just this wonderful working girl who was just like, she dated, she was purity supreme, pretty much. I mean, she was just, oh dear, he's a playboy, and he was.
Yeah,
Rex Stetson.
It holds up. It's still a fun movie.
Oh, I love that movie.
It really is.
I own the Doris Day collection of the rom-coms, and it was really good, and it was fun, and she and Rock had amazing chemistry. And there was Tony Randall, who played the guy. It's so funny. Did you know that one day he said, well, why don't I play the love interest to Doris? And they laughed, but... come on. He was perfect for what he played. Played the second guy. And then she did Lover Come Back, I believe, with Kirk. And she did the third one with him, which was, he played the hypochondriac. Send Me No Flowers.
Yeah.
But she was married. We would imagine
they were married.
She got it on. But my favorite one of her virginal roles was A Touch of Mink. I love that movie. It's right.
Yeah, it's really because she's pushing 40.
She
and
was
she's still,
40.
Doing the virgin thing of going away with a man and breaking out. But doesn't she break out in spots?
Yes. On a rash when she went away with him to Bermuda. And her BFF was Audrey Meadows, who was also 40 years old, who looked about 50 years old. And they were roommates, and they were like, oh, you can't go, Kathy. And they would, probably today be, sort of like, they're in their little bedroom with their twin beds, 40-year-old women. And it just, to me, is so funny. And, they beat up the guys, the animals who are coming after poor Kathy, which is Doris Day. And Cary Grant plays the billionaire. We'd call him a billionaire probably today. And he kind of makes it clear what he wants. And it's like, come on, baby. He gives her the clothes. He gives her everything. And then there's Gig Young, who I love, Gig Young.
Yeah, he's great. He's always great.
Yeah, he did great comedic roles. He was so good in it. And as his assistant, and Women Never Say No, and to Cary, so he was trying to find that perfect woman, a subplot. He would talk to a shrink about it, and the shrink thinks he's gay in it, which is so funny, right? Do you remember that?
Of course. Yeah.
And it's like some big, oh my God, they think he's gay. And it's such a good movie, and Doris is cute in it, but like I said, they're both 40. Cary's 59 or something, which, you can believe a 40-year-old woman with a 59-year-old guy, BFD, right? But the whole thing it's goofy, but I love it. It makes me laugh because she sees like people are looking at her like when they're away, that people know that they're not married, and she's there and like she's being carried in a bed with Cary Grant in her imagination. It's a funny movie. I highly recommend everybody. And Gig Young was wonderful. And a little tidbit about Gig Young, he did win an Oscar for They Shoot Horses, Don't They? Which is because pretty much he was not the leading man. In any of his films, he was always the sort of comedic sidekick in a lot of these flicks. And in this, he was great. And he won Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, he
really was good. And, he was very embittered that he didn't get more roles like that after he won the Oscar. And he was a humongous alcoholic. He was a huge, huge drinker. And tidbit about him, he ended up murder-suiciding. He was, I think, 60 and his wife was 32. And he killed her. And then he killed himself with his Oscar by his side, BTW. She may have been making fun of him. They were drunk. Who knows? And that's a little tidbit about him. I'm going to do a little bit of a show on Gig and some of these people because they're actually very fascinating people. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Your turn.
One more thing about Doris was how interesting in just general in careers in Hollywood. Pillow Talk extends her movie stardom for a full decade. And you wonder if that hadn't come along, her career might have petered out because the age of the kind of musicals she had been in was over. And she had done other things like Love Me or Leave Me and The Man Who Knew Too Much, but you just wonder, she probably, without a massive hit like Pillow Talk that reinvented herself, she wouldn't have been a star until 1968, which was really the limit for, a golden age movie star, just as everything changes. So that's quite remarkable for her.
Yeah, and the final film, I just wanted to talk one more thing. I forgot about this one. I'm sorry, John. Her last film was with Six You Get Egg Roll. And I absolutely like that movie until the end because it actually shows trying to combine families, the whole thing like that. I love Brian Keith. I think he's underrated. He's a very quiet actor. He's not flashy. But what I wanted to get to is that was a film Doris Day said it was more like her. To her, that was a character she related to anyone she played because she was like a person, like a human being. And she wasn't a virgin. So anyway, your turn, John. You're on.
Well, this is an obvious one is Frank Sinatra doing From Here to Eternity because, he came up as a movie star as playing the runt in those MGM musicals. Talk about a virgin. Yes, the shy, innocent, virginal boy, didn't know anything about anything, was so scared and sweet and pining over whether it's Katherine Grayson or Betty Garrett. And then, of course, his career hits the slump and he gets to reinvent himself with a dramatic role, which is interesting because in From Here to Eternity, he is again kind of playing the runt, but in a much darker vein. And it doesn't end well for his character, but he really is terrific, bringing all the depth that he would bring to a singing of a ballad to a dramatic role. And it not only won him the Oscar, but it, gave him a series of dramatic roles in which he excelled. The drug addict in The Man Who with a Golden Arm, the war veteran in The Manchurian Candidate, the kind of cynical intellectual in Some Came Running. And he actually really became a fine dramatic screen actor. just given the chance. And again, you wonder if he had just stayed at MGM into the early 50s, singing and occasionally dancing, if that career would have petered out as well. But then, of course, he could go back and forth between musicals and dramatic roles once he had proven himself.
He was really good. I enjoyed him. Did you ever see this cheesy movie, The Miracle of the Bells? He played a priest.
Yeah.
He was good, though, as the priest. And Fred McMurray and Miss Valley or something her name is.
Yeah, Lita Valley.
Yeah. And it was good, but he played a padre. I thought he was good. I loved him. Like I said, I'm not a musical kind of gal, so I really liked him in dramatic roles. And I think he did a great job. Totally believable. And go, Frankie, go. You rocked, buddy.
Yeah.
You rocked.
Yeah, and like Doris Day, starting, solely as a singer and then proving that, stumbling into movies because of your name, and then we find out, wow, you're really good at this, and probably not surprising yourself as well as everybody else, I'm sure. Yeah,
because he thought he was washed up because he wasn't getting any roles, and he was with Ava Gardner, and she pushed for it, and because I think if he hadn't got it, I think you're totally right. He would have totally been not acting, I don't think.
Or, it would have taken a few more years for some lucky break if it did come, yeah.
But totally believable in all his roles. I really, really liked him. So some of the movies I'm coming up with are just, one-hit wonder kind of deals.
Yeah.
Others are, but I think a good one, an example, because I don't think a lot of people knew this, was Carole Lombard did mostly dramatic roles in pre-code films. And she did some really good ones and not so good ones. One I really like is Virtue. Did you ever see that one?
Yeah, I like Virtue a lot. Yeah.
Who's in it? It's love
Pat O'Brien.
Yes.
Pat O'Brien
playing a cab driver.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know that she was a hooker. And he thinks she was a stenographer, and he finds out about it. My favorite in that movie, though, was Mayo Metho. She was amazing as the BFF. And everyone, if I can find it on YouTube, you go to True Stories of Tinseltown, and I have lists of pre-codes and different things that you can find. But did you ever see White Woman? That's a doozy.
Yeah.
Charles Lawton.
Yes.
Bad movie, everybody, but fascinating. And she did, what else did she do? She did just some William.
You're right. Most of them are, Virtue's the one that always stands out for me. Because she's so... she's one of my favorites, actually. But when you see her in most of those pre-code movies, it's like she hasn't found herself yet.
Right, exactly.
And in most of them, she's fairly forgettable. She's pretty.
Yeah.
She's competent, but she's not special.
No, 100%.
And then it happens with 20th Century screwball comedy, she cuts loose. And again, you wonder, did she even know how good she was going to be, and so uninhibited?
Mildred Plotkin.
And that mix of funny and gorgeous, and it kind of, predates Lucille Ball. I could be stunning and glamorous, and also I could fall down the stairs, that kind of thing. And so that did, reinvent her.
She was so good. And I loved John Barrymore.
Yeah.
He was so good. The whole cast was really, really good and funny. And then after that, she got all the other stuff. She got things that we probably know her by. After the 20th Century, she did a lot of stuff with Fred McMurray and
My Man Godfrey, of course.
Oh, she was so good in that.
Probably the peak. And Nothing Sacred, the big screwballs.
That's my fave of those. I like that better than My Man Godfrey with the darling Frederick March. And then she did. I liked Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the only comedy that Alfred Hitchcock did. I actually like it. It made me laugh, but. Okay. You didn't like it. That's okay. I did. It makes me laugh, but she then got. I want to go back to drama.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure, she did so many comedies in a row, and some of them aren't good. We named the good ones. And I'm sure she probably wanted to show she could be a dramatic actress. She does like 4 in a row. And well, you continue because this was your pick, so go ahead with that.
Yeah, it was. She did In Name Only.
I like that one.
Me too, with Kay Francis and Cary Grant. What a biatch Kay Francis was. She was wonderful.
That's a juicy soap.
I love it. And Cary was
juicy.
great. And his parents, my God, what's the matter with you? They believed that woman. Why didn't he save the note saying that she didn't love him and he throws it away? Give me a break, Cary. But we wouldn't have had the movie. Then there was, I don't know which came next, but Vigil in the Night, where she played a nurse.
I love that one too. I believe In Between is, or maybe it's also in 1939's Made for Each Other with Jimmy Stewart, which I never liked.
I hate that movie.
But I think it did well, but I never liked it. But Vigil in the Night is again a real tearjerker, and she is really good in it.
She is, and Anne Shirley plays her. Yeah. Her bratty little sister. And it is a good film, everybody. She's dealing with a lot. Made for Each Other, what drives me crazy is the 10-minute scene of them trying to get the vaccine to the kid. Yeah, it's like, all right already.
Yeah. I don't know.
Get it to them. What's the fourth one? I can only think of...
They Knew What They Wanted. With Charles Lawton. She was back with Charles Lawton. It's the play, and he's the old Italian guy, and she's the mail-order bride.
I never saw that.
Yeah. She's good in that too, but I like In Name Only and Vigil in the Night the most. And I think it's because she's so understated, and after acting crazy in those comedies, it's sort of like the Dick Powell thing. They pull back so much, and it's so ageless. Their acting is so pure,
natural,
and natural, exactly. And it doesn't really date because it's just human, and she really could do it all. And in her short life, she was able to prove that.
Yeah, and then she went back to... I didn't read. How well did she do with those movies? I don't think she did that great. I don't think because they were looking at her as a comedian. I don't know.
I don't know necessarily about reviews, but I would imagine they all did well enough. I don't recall reading that any of those bombed. I know the last one doesn't do as well as it ought to because people were too depressed about going to see a Carole Lombard comedy after she died, which was, of course, To Be or Not to Be, which is brilliant.
I love it.
And she's great in it. But I think she was so beloved that a lot of people stayed home because it was just too painful to know she wasn't around.
And Jack Benny was in it, and he did a really good job. They had a nice chemistry. Did you ever see the remake with Mel Brooks? Mel Brooks and Anne Bancroft. To me, I didn't like it. But, it's just, it was a remake. Yeah, it was okay.
It doesn't really compare. I mean, it's amusing enough, but it doesn't hold a candle to the original.
And then poor Carol, what was she? She was only 31, that poor thing.
I think she was 32 or 33, but...
she was a baby.
It's sad.
It is. Okay, your turn.
Oh, okay, this might be my favorite example of all of them, which is Basil Rathbone. How you could be known by the American public as a villain in Captain Blood and The Adventures of Robin Hood, and then become Sherlock Holmes, and then become one of the great good guys of the late 30s and into the mid 40s, and then what I love about his career is how he could go back and forth between playing Sherlock Holmes and more villains, The Mark of Zorro and Above Suspicion and Crossroads, and how the audience could look at him and just, flip a switch back and forth, where he didn't get typecast. He could do all kinds of parts, and he could, have that resonance with the audience for both villainy and solving crime.
He was great. My favorite Sherlock Holmes. There's nobody who could compare. And his sidekick, Dr. Watson. It was
Nigel Bruce.
They were great. It was such. I watched them all. When I broke some bones, I'm like, well, let me watch, because those aren't my kind of movies. But I watched them all, and they were a lot of fun. And he's so good at being bad. He is so
Yes.
Anna Karenina, he was very good in the first one. Yeah, with Greta. And
he's got a great villain face. Yeah.
He has a great face, period. He's got that mug. And he plays a lot of kind of, there's one with Anne Harding that I really like too, where he plays a serial murderer that Anne Harding marries. She wins like this big sweepstakes. She's telling the world.
Is that Love from a Stranger?
Yeah.
I think it's Love from, is that, yeah.
That's a good, I like it. And I'm a big fan of Anne Harding anyway. But I would advise you guys if you can find that one. It's good. And he's such a deranged maniac in this. So I love it. I love me some deranged maniacs. What can I tell you?
To Kay Francis in Confession. He's awful
I love that. I put it on DVR because that's going to be on this week. But I love that movie.
Yes, that is a good one.
Okay. So my turn. I'm just going to do here, which I didn't like. No, why don't we go? No, we'll do this one. Ginger Rogers. Mm-hmm. She did all those musicals, Fred and Ginger. She was and if she didn't do them, she was sort of, like the wisecracking dame. Yeah. She was that kind of a person. And she, you don't expect it. Then all of a sudden, brown hair Ginger comes along with Kitty Foyle. And that is a drama. And our boyfriend, who we hate his singing. What is his name?
We both don't like Dennis Morgan.
Yeah, I like him. I just hate his singing. It drives, shut up. But
he was the Dick Powell of the 40s. Yeah. But he wasn't as likable. I didn't think so, but yeah.
No, and he rolls his horrors when he sings. I hate that. And, but he plays her love interest, and he's from a rich family, and they shun Kitty, and Kitty gets pregnant by him because they get married, and they're married for 2 days or something, and she walks out, and she's going to have the baby on her own. The baby dies, and it's this back and forth love. Will they, won't they kind of deal when along comes this handsome, hunky doctor, James Craig, who's a sweetheart who adores her. And it's, I'm mixed on, she won the Academy Award for it, but I'm not really, I don't know. I mean, I watch it. I have the DVD. She did fine. Fine. Did you like the movie?
It's fine. I agree with you. It's a perfectly decent, ordinary movie, and she won the Oscar because it was, like you said, the change of pace. It wasn't a comedy and it wasn't a musical, and people were impressed, and the movie did well. But I don't think you could find anyone on the planet who would look at the roster of performances by women in 1940 and think that was the best one. She had been, like you said, one of the most glorious musical stars of all time with Fred Astaire, and a really, really funny comedian in Stage Door and Bachelor Mother. She's really, her timing is incredible, perfect. And she was even better in Primrose Path that same year than she was in the movie that she won for. So it was sort of like she almost had to diminish herself which is what a lot of people do to win an Oscar. You sort of take your sparkle and tone it down to show you can be real.
And drabby, sort of drab.
And a little drabby. And you think, okay, you did that. I don't know how impressed I am, but you're not doing your usual thing. But it's just really kind of an ordinary soap opera. It's not one of those. Doesn't make me cry or doesn't move me.
Nah. But it's watchable. It's totally watchable. But it's not mine. But I love Primrose Path. To me,
and that's a more challenging role for her too. Yeah,
it was good, and I would advise anyone to do it. Marjorie Rambeau, who plays her mother, the old hooker who breaks your heart, and then the drunk dad and. The grandmother,
yes,
the little girl.
That's a really good movie. Yeah,
we're going to talk about later, but it's a very good movie. And to me, Ginger rocked it. Marjorie Rambeau rocked it.
Yeah.
It was a very good movie and much more believable than the others. And she pretty much went back to just doing comedies. She didn't do a lot except for the one we were talking about with Doris, and then one on the French Riviera where she married in real life that gorgeous Jacques Bergerac young hunk dude. In IRL, she married him. But I think I love Ginger anyway. She could do the comedy, she could do the drama, she could do the musicals, and she danced great and the whole deal. So that was my Ginger. My Ginger. You are next.
Okay, another obvious one would be Ray Milland, of course, doing The Lost Weekend. And again, you have what you would consider a lightweight, in movies of the 30s and early 40s, rom-coms with Claudette Colbert or Jean Arthur, and he's handsome and he's tall and he's British, but he could play American easily, kind of like Cary Grant did. And then to be cast by Billy Wilder to play an alcoholic, what a risk for everyone involved, and he is sensational in it, and he deservedly won the Oscar. And, it was sort of a Billy Wilder thing. I mean, he's at Paramount. You have to use the people they've got. But he always made it work for him because he had done the same thing with Fred McMurray in Double Indemnity. Again, a rom-com, essentially a lightweight, playing a murderer.
Oh, yeah.
And then just a few years later, casting William Holden in Sunset Boulevard, a much darker thing than he had ever attempted. So Billy Wilder would sort of, who do we have and what would be an interesting way to go, an unexpected way to go, and to make these actors go far beyond what they were usually asked to do and invigorate their careers in an unexpected way. And like I said, the most clear-cut example is Milland, because it really did change his career, and he did get to play more, obviously Dial M for Murder for Hitchcock. He played Satan in Alias McBeal.
Do you like that movie? I like that movie a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, it not only was a shock to the audience, and again, the audience is part of it in the sense that, oh my God, that's Ray Milland doing it. It's not someone it's not Frederick March or, some Spencer Tracy. It's someone we not only don't expect to see, but we don't want to see this happen to him. He's usually in a tuxedo and drinking a martini. So, it works, and it deepens the whole experience of seeing the movie. Maybe not as much now because people wouldn't be as aware of him and where he is in his career necessarily, but it adds so much. And like I said, that performance holds up, I think, really well.
He was so good.
Yeah.
He was so good when he's going through the DTs, the whole nine. It was such a good flick. I really, really enjoyed that. And I loved him in Dial M for Murder. I just watched that last week. And it's got, I love that because he and Grace had a torrid affair during that making of that movie, Grace Kelly. And we're going to talk about her in a sec. But, John doesn't know this gossipy stuff, but I do. I love the gossipy stuff, you guys. You know that. Anyway, they had a torrid affair, and he actually wanted to marry her, but the wife and her BFF spoke out about Grace, and he didn't have the moolah. The wife was loaded. And so that put an end to their romance because he's like, I ain't missing out on the moolah. And it cooled their romance. But the funny thing is also the guy who played the guy who was supposed to murder Grace, he alleges that on the way to the set one day, he and Grace got it on. Go get done. I love that about Grace. She was, this pristine little darling, but she got it on. Good for you, Grace. Go get him, tiger. Okay, so that was you. Why don't I go? But I agree. I'm a really big fan of Ray Milland. And then, he worked his whole career, let's face it. I was watching some Columbos. I was watching. It's like something to watch to fall asleep to. And he did a couple Columbos. He was really good. But then he did The Man with Two Hats with Rosie Greer and The Man with the X-Ray Eyes. But, he worked. He made his living. He did really well. Okay, so speaking of that lovely little vixen, Grace Kelly, she was always elegant, glamorous, and then she played the wife of an alcoholic actor, played by Bing Crosby. William Holden was in it as well, the country girl, and drabbed it down like we were saying. I'm drabbing, and everything about her was drab.
Right.
The movie was drab. I don't like the movie, just between you, me, and the lamppost, and anybody who listens. It's not my cup of tea. I did not think she deserved the Academy Award for that film.
No.
Did you?
No. No, I don't. And it was similar to the Kitty Foyle situation of toning down all the things we like about you, wearing a cardigan, putting on glasses.
Yeah.
And she's perfectly fine in it.
Yeah.
It's just that I never would have thought Academy Award,
Definitely
aside
not.
from the fact that it was a change of pace, obviously, for her to be doing it at all. But much rather see her in Rear Window, where she's funny and glamorous.
Oh, man, those dresses, I want them all.
It might not seem as much like acting as the country girl part does, but it's why she's a movie star. It's, why we care about her to this day, things like that. Or even something, I love her in The Swan, playing the princess, where you can see what a really fine actress she could be, or probably would have been, beyond her retirement had she stayed in it. But not so much the country girl. And of course, she famously beats Judy Garland in A Star is Born, which is, again, one of the great crimes in Oscar history. So,
and also, who was in that too? Wasn't it? Is that the year Sunset Boulevard, or no? That was All About Eve. All that, yeah,
yeah.
Do you?
No, because it just seemed like Judy Garland's, performance of her life loses to something kind of ordinary
and drab. Drab. Yeah. I didn't buy her as drab, sort of like the Cary Grant deal, but I just didn't. With Judy Garland, her comeback, the whole 9 yards. I had this whole tidbit. These tidbits, everybody, and John, it probably drives you crazy. They just flash into my head. But I had one, and I don't remember, and it was good. But I don't remember it. Okay.
Okay.
Are we, Grace? This is what I was going to say, because we were saying we did one. They wanted the person to star in one. I don't remember what we titled it, but Grace wanted to act again. And Hitchcock wanted her to do Marnie, which is kleptomaniac, pathological liar, the whole 9 yards. And they put their foot down. No way, Grace. You cannot play that part. You are a princess.
Sure.
Rainier, Monaco, she couldn't do it. So that must have been depressing for her. And I thought it would be interesting, or it could be another drab, I'm a deranged, kind of sad, broken human being.
What's interesting, though? You wonder if she hadn't won the Academy Award, if she would have retired when she did to go off and be a princess, because it all came so easily, it seemed. She rose to stardom very quickly. She wins the Oscar. There was nothing left for her to do. So I could see how the only thing she could do is become royal. But if her career had moved a little more slowly, you wonder if she would have wanted to stick it out and continue to work and prove more stuff. But she'd proven everything she could possibly prove. So that probably played into it a little bit.
She was so young. I can't imagine that was the choice that she was thrilled to make at that point, but she sort of, I wouldn't have wanted that life. I'm sorry. Forget it, Charlie. Yeah. I would have rather stayed in Hollywood or done something like that. Yeah. Between me and you. Okay, your turn.
Well, we mentioned Joel McCrea briefly.
Yep.
He's my favorite Golden Age movie actor.
Love him. I didn't know he was your fave. I love him.
Oh, he's my fave. And this is more in a general way than a specific film, but how in the 30s and first half of the 1940s, he's really an all-purpose leading man. He's great in romantic comedy. He can do a Hitchcock thriller. He's, of course, good in Westerns, William Wyler dramas like these three and Dead End. He really can do it all. And again, very natural, very easy, always just right. And then he commits himself after World War II, essentially, to the genre of the Western. And he does great work within that. I love, of course, his big swan song of Ride the High Country, in which he's absolutely brilliant. But also Stars in My Crown, which is kind of a Western in 1950. And I love some of the smaller ones like Wichita. And he brings all of his talent and expertise from all those other genres into the Western genre. But he did sort of just say, that's what I want to do. And he was a rancher and all of that. So that was his thing. And he were, I guess, deprived of all those other kinds of things he could have done. But he distinguished himself as a cowboy. And like I said, it wasn't like he did bad films. He did some really good ones.
He really did.
But that rare commitment to one genre,
And he wanted it. He said that he didn't want to do those. He felt he was too old to do these romantic leading guy kind of deals. And he was I love him. He's so underrated. Katharine Hepburn wanted to work with him, and she loved him. She said he was like Spencer Tracy to her. She said he was so subtle, but he could be funny. And he was just funny and
so generous. You could see every leading lady in a Joel McCrea movie shines because he's never trying to steal the focus.
Nope.
And he's always there for them. And you can see how they always respond and so well, whether it's Jean Arthur or Ginger Rogers or Merle Oberon, they all seem to up their game because they seem to be enjoying sharing the screen with him.
He's so good. One thing we did, remember Happy Endings, I think it was, and we were talking about the silver cord. And he was such a wimp in that, but I absolutely love that movie because it's so deranged. But he's so good. And him and that's where he and his wife met, the lovely, lovely lady. And
Frances D.
Yes, I love her.
Yes.
She's really good as well.
So
her younger
beautiful.
films, her early films were really good. And did you know, this is for anybody who's out there, they have tours of Joel McCrea's ranch, and you can get T-shirts too, the whole nine, but they actually have tours, which is cool. You
Grace,
went?
I have been, and I've gotten to know some members of the family.
Really?
And, somebody brought it to their attention that he's my favorite and that I've written a lot about him in the books, and so I've gotten some friendly, and I've been to the ranch and hung out, and it's
cool.
They're wonderful people. It's a beautiful place. It's a great place to support the Joel and Frances McCrea Foundation, and the ranch is preserved, and it was a highlight of my career as a movie nut, to be a part of a tiny little part of getting, to share some of that with actual McCrea family members. So,
who was it? Their sons or their grandchildren?
I've gotten to know a grandson and a son who's actually on the East Coast. But
wasn't one of his sons an actor just for like 2 films?
Jody was I believe Jody was the oldest one. Jody was an actor in the 60s, and he has since passed away. But they're also proud of their grandparents or parents, and they should be. And it's a wonderful place. And I smile anytime I think of it. And yes, I have the T-shirt and the cap and the whole deal.
That's so cool. How cool is that?
And they have my books, and so that just makes me happy.
So everybody, you can check it out because it is open now. When did you go to it? Before the 20s?
It was about a year and a half ago.
Oh, just recently. So, I would highly recommend you guys to check it out. I want to go to the Ava Gardner Museum. I'd love to go.
Yeah, that one I haven't seen. People would go and bring me a calendar or something, but no, that one I haven't passed yet.
They have their wine. They have an Ava Gardner wine, too. Yeah. Perfect for her. Ring-a-ding-ding Ava,
I've heard
right?
It's good. Yeah, I've heard it's a nice
Me too. I was supposed to share it with someone, but we just never got together. So I said, just drink it. Say a toast to me. But I would love to go there. Yeah, I love Joel. I didn't know he was your fave. How cool you went to the ranch. Check it out, everybody, because he really was something. And I heard he was a really good dude, too, in real life. He was not...
Seems like it, yes. They had a wonderful, long marriage. It seems to have been raised a great family. And, I think, like a lot of the ones that do it well, they live a little bit outside the center of things, where they actually really do take a breath from the business. It's not all Hollywood all the time. And so they commute to work and then go away and have their what we call a normal life, and so they seem to have done that very successfully.
Yeah, because he wasn't like the gossipy guy. They didn't write up about gossip columns about him. He was just like a dude.
They didn't live a Hollywood, whatever that means, a Hollywood life.
The glamour pusses.
they weren't out every night, whatever, that kind of thing.
How cool. I didn't know you went there. How fun.
Yeah, it was great.
Check it out, guys. Get your T-shirt. Get your cap. Come one, come all. Popcorn, Cracker Jacks, hot dogs. Go. Okay, so we're on that one. One thing I really liked as a performance was Fred Astaire in On the Beach.
Yeah.
This is like,
Me too.
It's not like a happy, it's sure in a musical.
The end of the world is not happy. Yes.
They're in Australia and the world is ending and they know it. And the Gregory Peck's in it, Ava Gardner, our lovely psycho, Anthony Perkins. And it's really, and Fred Astaire plays a race car guy, just a really cool guy. And subtle and believable. I love this movie. It is depressing, everybody, but it's really good. I highly recommend it. Ava's great in it. Gregory Peck is great in it. And because they're in Australia, so it hasn't hit them yet. They're on the other side of the world. But it's a coming. It's a coming to get them all. Yeah. And I really like it. I thought Fred was great. And I'm trying to think, did he do any other dramatic roles? He was so good in that.
Like The Towering Inferno, and other non-musical roles, like The Notorious Landlady. But yeah, he is very good. Ava Gardner, I think it's probably her best performance.
I agree.
She's really moving.
She was so good, so low key, just gorgeous, and her chemistry with Gregory Peck was great. And they were really good friends. I don't think they ever had an affair or anything, but they were really great pals. Yeah.
And Fred, if Joel's my favorite, movie actor, Fred Astaire is my overall favorite, performer of the 20th century. So I just adore him in every way. And I thought, like I said, he did a really good job in this.
And you loved him. You just loved him. Yeah. His character was so good. And, I loved him. What can I say? And like I said to everybody, it is not a fun flick. It is the end of the world movie. But... it's not like they're just waiting for the end of the world to finally hit them. So it's not like people eating each other or, looting. It's just here. And then which is touching, they end up leaving Gregory Peck and everybody, and he falls for Ava, but they all want to get home to their families.
Sure.
Which their families are not there, obviously, but they end up leaving Australia trying to get back and see what's going on. But it is a really good film. And Fred, honey, was great. Great. Okay, your turn.
This was a successful one that would have sounded crazy to me at the time, but Marlene Dietrich doing Destry Rides Again in 1939, after being the epitome of the glamour puss and the exotic creature and otherworldly, the goddess, and all the von Sternberg movies. And then her career was petering out by the late 1930s. And she was box office poison, and to be cast as a saloon gal out west entertaining the drunks would have seemed ridiculous if you told me she was going to do it. And of course it reinvigorated her career, and she's so much fun. And from thereafter, she was in a bunch of movies in which, her nationality doesn't mean anything. She's with 3 movies with John Wayne, and she's in a rom-com with Fred McMurray. And so suddenly that kind of loosened her up to do whatever she wanted, and the audience was willing to go with it.
And she was great. And that's one with Jimmy Stewart. Yeah. And they had a torrid affair, and she got pregnant. And she ended up aborting the baby. And this is also in Maria Riva's book. I have to find this show, but I had her grandson on, Peter Riva, 2 times, and I got so much good stuff out of him about his grandma. And they were not close. He was not a big fan, sort of like his mother. But she was really good in that, and she could be very... like you said, a different genre. You believed her. She was good. And she pretty much went back to her other stuff and stage fright and all that other stuff.
Well, then she's sort of in the great lady phase, once she hits middle age. And in Witness for the Prosecution. And
she was so good in that. I loved her.
I mean, she's doing character parts, but she's in legend category.
Yeah, she's still a glamour puss. She never goes into her drab-ola role. She's just always that glamorous gal, which I love. Yeah. And she was good in that. One I don't know that I mentioned, but I wanted to talk about. Oh, Robert Montgomery. Mm-hmm. Night Must Fall. Mm-hmm. He really wanted a dramatic role. I thought he stunk. I don't know. I like the movie, all right. And this is Rosalind Russell, who's playing Fon, because she's another one. She played the Fon, but well-bred woman, and then she did the front page and the woman and things like that. But she was, the spinster, and he's like this ne'er-do-well but charming bellboy or something. Yeah. And I didn't buy him, and he really wanted that part. He wanted to show that he had other, because he did, comedies pretty much and all that other stuff. I didn't like him in that film. Did you?
I liked him more than you did, certainly.
You didn't think he stunk?
No, I don't think he stunk. I mean, it's over the top. It's very stagey. It was a play, of course. Uh-huh. But it's fun. I mean, I've enjoyed it, and he branched out, with like Here Comes Mr. Jordan and things like that. I
loved him in that. That was really good.
Mug.
I loved him in that. Boxer, I believed him in that. I thought he was really good. I just didn't find him charming, young Danny. I found him, just like not believable. I didn't like it. Yeah. And maybe I watched it. This is a tidbit, everybody. And I used to love him in the 30s, like the early with Norma Shearer and all that other stuff. Yeah. But then I read Lauren Bacall's book, reread it. Yeah. Because I hadn't read it for years, and I reread it. And in it, she ran into him. She was 19. This is before, I don't know. I think this is right when they put her into Hollywood. And she's going into a party, and he was there. Maybe they talked. He asked her for her number. She gave him the number. He looked at it. He crumpled it up, threw it on the floor, and said, "Too easy," and walked away.
I do remember that. I read that book, so I remember that. It stuck with me, too. Like, wow.
What a poop. And he was married. I mean, she's just a kid. I mean, that's, you could crumple it up in your car, but just who do you think you are? So, from now on, I'm like, put up your dukes, because that's fighting words. How do you do something like that? That was terrible. So it stuck with me. And so I look at him, and he's also Elizabeth Montgomery's dad from the Bewitched fame. And they look alike. You can see their hairline and everything.
Oh, yeah, they do. Definitely.
Very much. Yeah. But, that sort of tainted him for me, because that really bugged me, and I know there's a lot of vile things other people have done in old Hollywood, but to read that, it just kind of was like, oh, what a creep. That's it. Yeah. Okay, you're on.
I have just one more left, and Irene Dunn, and how she's a sort of a pre-code soap queen of the early 30s. And again, you wonder what would have happened to her. Well, she did musicals too, so she had a little more going on than many. But what would she have been doing if Theodora Goes Wild hadn't come along in 1936 and proved to everyone how hilariously funny she could be? And it reinvented her. And then, of course, then comes The Awful Truth and My Favorite Wife. And she's one of the great screwball heroines of the time. And you would hate to imagine what the Irene Dunn filmography would be without her forays into screwball comedy, which are probably the things she's most revered for of all nowadays.
She was so funny. She was so underrated. I loved her Backstreet. That's my favorite, which I always hate the guys and want to punch them out. But she's so good in that, and she did so many great pre-codes. To me, I love her in both. I think she's great. Yeah. I'm not a musical girl, so that's it. Yeah. And the thing is, she doesn't get, because she married, she was quiet, she kept, you know what I mean? She was not a gossip. She didn't go to the nightlife. She just lived her life. And she, to me, was really, really good. And then they did, she was great with Cary Grant. They had amazing chemistry. And I just loved her. She was great. Wonderful.
And she still did dramas, she still did soaps, but just that other facet brought so much more into the mix for her.
And you see how she was good, believable, funny. And, she's one of my favorites as far as that. Let's face it, like Barbara Stanwyck, she could do both.
Yeah.
And just remember, I didn't like this. The Bride Came COD with Bette Davis and James Cagney. Screwball comedy was not hers. So that was something. But this woman, and Joan Crawford couldn't have done it either. That they were not these kind of gals. But Barbara Stanwyck, she was that. She could do it all.
You really have to loosen up to be good in screwball comedy. And I think as much as we all can love Bette Davis and Joan Crawford in certain things, they never really loosened up in that kind of way. Or when they did, it felt forced.
Yeah, it just wasn't, you would think it would be good Bette Davis and James Cagney, but I'm like, no way.
It's also, that's not good material, too.
Yes.
So there's that. It's a copy of a copy of a copy kind of comedy. Trying to be It Happened One Night kind of thing, and it's just not funny. But,
no. Oh, God, I love Claudette Colbert. She could do both, too. She was so good. One more is Greta Garbo in Ninotchka. I think she was very good in that film.
She's wonderful,
Yeah, so, she's playing that whole, mournful kind of woe is me kind of gal. And she really rocked it with. I loved Melvin Douglas in it as well. He was so good. They were a great combo. But then she follows up with Two-Faced Woman. Ugh. What did you think of that flick?
And no, I don't like that flick. But again, it's sort of like Ninotchka was so great because it's almost a spoof of Greta Garbo, where she's almost spoofing herself of the very serious, the tragic person, and she's so funny and such a great sport and magic. But unlike what Dietrich does in Destry Rides Again, like Americanizing yourself, there was something about putting Garbo in an ordinary rom-com kind of thing. It's just, again, she felt just heavy and
forced.
Almost like, in a different way, what we were saying about Bette Davis and Joan Crawford, it was a kind of comedy where she just wasn't buoyant enough to make it work.
And also the plot kind of stunk.
Again, it wasn't a good piece of material, but it failed to sort of make her ordinary in a way that Destry Rides Again brought Dietrich down to earth. And Two-Faced Woman did not bring Garbo down to earth.
No.
It just made her seem awkward. And it's an unfortunate swan song for such a stunning star.
Yeah. And she just left. And it wasn't received well. I know there are people who really love it, but I ain't one of them, that's for sure.
No, me either.
I think we got it. You got anything else you want to talk about on that?
No, I think we kind of did it. Wow.
We covered this stuff, and I learned something very exciting about John, that he got to go to the Joel McCrea. And I didn't know that Joel McCrea was your favorite actor. So tidbits deluxe here, people. Tidbits.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay, John. So once again, I thought this was a good idea for us. I thought it was a fun show for us to do.
Yeah. Yes, it was.
And I enjoyed it immensely, as usual.
Me too.
And we will definitely, of course, you're coming on when your new book comes out next year, but let's have you on before that. Let's think of another one for us to do.
Okay.
And, you let me know if you come up with an idea, and we'll do one.
I will.
And I'm using new equipment, everybody, so hopefully this sounds fine and dandy. I think it will. And thank you, John. I'm going to link all his books for you guys. He has so many great ones.
Thank you.
And I had a wonderful time once again. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I so appreciate every one of you. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, John.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Listen to the stories of Tinsel.